Hello again. For those of you new to the Delray Beach Playhouse, my name is Randolph DelLago. I am the artistic director here, and today I'm going to talk about musical memories. Now, I hope that most of you have seen at least one or two of our musical memory programs. If you have not, however, I wanted to tell you something about them because it turns out that we're going to be able to present them virtually so that you don't actually have to be here in the theater wearing masks, etc. You can wear them you can watch them rather in the comfort of your own home. Musical memories began, I'm thinking it must be at least 20 years ago. I used to do programs for the Brandeis Association. It was a great privilege and a great honor to do these programs. And after some of the musical programs we would do, I would talk to people about the programs and the songs that they had heard, and invariably I would hear somebody say, "Oh, I haven't heard that song in so long," or "It's wonderful to hear that composer," or "I didn't know that this composer wrote that song." And of course, my first instinct, having always been a fellow who had the vinyls originally and the CDs later and always had a musical playing in the background, why don't you buy the CD if you love the show so much? But I realized that there is a certain point in time when people let their vinyls go, now they've let their CDs go, and now they accept whatever television has to offer them. And so our musical memories are a chance for people to come out and for an evening remember the golden age of the American musical. Now, everybody will have their own golden age. Mine, I would say, runs from Showboat to probably Phantom of the Opera. That's what I would consider the golden age. A lot of people would say it's Showboat to Rodgers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma, and then to the British invasion, etc. But we all know that there's an entire generation now who really believes that the very first American musical was called Rent, and that there will be an even younger generation that thinks that the very first musical on Broadway was called Hamilton. We know better. We know that there were wonderful composers before Rent and Hamilton, like George and Ira Gershwin, Cole Porter, Harold Arlen, Stephen Sondheim, Leonard Bernstein, so many great composers. And in our musical memory programs, we celebrate their work. There are four general kinds of musical memories that we do. One, I try to celebrate a great composer. We'll do Cole Porter, we'll do George Gershwin or Ira Gershwin or Rodgers and Hart. The songs, I tell a little bit of their life story, anecdotes, some anecdotes about the shows, how songs came to be written, how those were changed or added or subtracted. Then, of course, there are other programs in which we celebrate the shows themselves. I realized that there were some shows that were so interesting in the way they were created that I could almost do a biography of the show in the way that you would do a biography of a person. How the first germ of the idea came into being, how it was created, the difficulties bringing it to life, bringing it to the stage. For example, this year we're going to be doing basically a musical biography of Hello Dolly. Most people would tell you, I think, from the golden age of theater, that Hello Dolly was based on Thornton Wilder's play The Matchmaker, whereas in fact Thornton Wilder based it on a German comedy, which in turn was based on a 200-year-old play earlier than that called The Merchant of Venice. Hello Dolly actually began with The Merchant of Venice. If you remember the character of Horace Vandergelder, the miserly merchant, that was originally the leading character of the show. But when Thornton Wilder got hold of the material, he realized that it needed some sort of romantic interest, and he literally added a small, very small comic character of a matchmaker to find a wife for Horace Vandergelder. And as he kept writing, he realized that this character was just becoming more and more interesting, more and more important, and of course, you know the end of this anecdote. By the time he finished writing the play, it was no longer called The Merchant of Yonkers, but The Matchmaker, and of course dealt with the story of Dolly Levi. We're going to do a program on Hello Dolly. You'll hear all the great songs from the show, Plus, you'll hear a couple of songs that you don't normally hear when you see the show. For example, not everybody knows that show is not written for Carol Channing. It was actually written for Ethel Merman. And Jerry Herman wrote 2 songs for Merman that Carol Channing, God bless her, could not sing. And so you'll hear those songs as well. You'll go out having the experience of almost having seen Hello Dolly again, but also learning a little bit more about it. Other programs that we do celebrate some of the great creative forces in the theater, the choreographers, the producers, the directors. I mean, obviously, West Side Story and Fiddler on the Roof would not be the shows they were without the talent of Jerome Robbins. He helped to create those shows just as much as the lyricists and the composers did. And this year we're celebrating the career of Gower Champion, who, of course, as many of you may remember, began as a dancer himself with his wife Marge. Later went into directing and did some wonderful work. He discovered Dick Van Dyke in a play called Bye Bye Birdie and cast him in that. Worked with Robert Preston and Mary Martin in I Do, I Do. Later went through all the travails of putting Hello Dolly together with Carol Channing, and of course ended his career with one of his great successes, 42nd Street, which is still one of the most popular Broadway musicals of all time. And finally, every once in a while, not often, but every couple of years, I'll do a thematic show. For example, when the musical Hamilton came out, you heard a great deal about the influence and the novelty of hip-hop. Well, of course, those of us who are old enough to remember and have a library know that there's really nothing new about hip-hop. It's another form of patter song. And so we did a program here at the Playhouse called The Road to Hamilton, and we went literally back to the 19th century, to operas by Rossini, through Gilbert and Sullivan, through musicals like The Music Man, You Got Trouble, My Friends, right here in River City, a great patter song. My Fair Lady, all of Henry Higgins' songs are patter songs. And then the master, Stephen Sondheim, who wrote 2 amazing hip-hop numbers, if you like, for Company. Another 100 People Just Got Off of the Train, I'm Not Getting Married Today, the song that Lin-Manuel Miranda still says is the best hip-hop song ever written. And of course, he also wrote a hip-hop song for The Witch and Into the Woods, but that was almost incidental. There's so many stories behind so many of these shows that we are able to come into the present as well as celebrating the past. This year, we have 4 different kinds of programs, five in total. And of course, the great composers that we're celebrating are 2 of our very finest composers. The man who was always referred to as the Dean of American Musical Theater, Jerome Kern, who gave us not only Showboat with Old Man River and Make Believe, all the way up to the wonderful films he did with Dorothy Fields, The Way You Look Tonight, You're Lovely to Look At, All the Things You Are, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, wonderful shows. And our other composer that we're celebrating is Harold Arlen, of course, who gave us all the wonderful songs from The Wizard of Oz, like Over the Rainbow, and then on Broadway, Cabin in the Sky, Come Rain or Come Shine, so many great songs. So you will hear all of these songs sung by wonderful professional singers. I will tell you a few stories. I'll try to be briefer than I'm being now, since I have the camera to myself. But I promise you will enjoy the show. So please try to sign up for our virtual performances of musical memories. It's apparently very simple. I am certainly not technically minded, and so I would not have any idea how to go on the internet and go to Zoom and things like that. But I'm told that you only have to go onto the internet, find our website, and our people here at the theater will guide you through so that you can enjoy musical memories. The greatest pleasure that I get doing musical memories is literally talking to people after the show and having them tell me that they've just been reminded of the night that they were in New York on their honeymoon and saw this or that musical with their husband, or the first show that they took their children to, the first show perhaps that they were taken to by their parents. Those are the kind of memories that we try to recreate here. We can't create them, but we can certainly try to recreate them here at the Delray Beach Playhouse. We hope to see you here.